Hey everybody, just finished an hour and a bit of a call, a beautiful webinar together with Marcus Schmieke, the founder of Time Waver and HEALY, and a bunch of therapists and doctors, certified doctors in Australia. Almost 100 of those doctors were on the call, and it's been an incredible webinar. It's been an incredible call. Marcus and Mike Curley were talking, and Mike Curley is also one of those persons who you can't stop listening when he's talking, because his knowledge is so deep and so broad, and in every way it goes, and it's amazing. And to have these two characters talking, so I was just finally shutting up and just listening in, and it was a great call. So right after this one I want to show you that call, so please enjoy it, listen in to what Marcus Schmieke is telling about where his journey starts, where his vision is going, and also how the quantum sensor works, how the whole thing works with frequency. And after this call, I promise you will understand a little bit more about how everything works, and it's amazing. And then also listen to Mike Curley, his input he's giving to Marcus. It's amazing, and the call was really such a pleasure and such a blessing to be on that call, so you will enjoy it.
Always the next big step. I could just tell my whole story just by meeting people, meeting amazing people who helped me to do the next step. But maybe this would be a little too long story for today.
Well, obviously you've spent a lot of years in India being a monk.
Yes.
And that sort of gave you a deep insight in the spiritual search. And then you realized something, that you had to really come back into the world and integrate those spiritual concepts so that science could be integrated in a more meaningful way. And
right.
So that's my understanding of how you sort of gave birth to the concept of the healing.
Yeah, because my search in the beginning was, okay, I studied physics, and then I went the other way, going into the depths of my own consciousness. This was a time I spent, every year I went to India for many months. I didn't stay too long. Normally in the winter, in the summer, I came back to Germany because it's too hot in India. And then the rainy season starts. So the summer was good to spend in Germany, and in different ashrams. But then I went back to India, to some very special places, especially in Bengal, in West Bengal. Beautiful monastery at the Ganges. And later I went also to Haridwar, where the Ganges comes out of the Himalaya mountains, and Rishikesh, which is a traditional place for yoga practice. But that time I joined a university there and became a visiting professor at the Dev Sanskriti University. And it was an important step for me on this journey of integrating science and spirituality. This is another long story, because in the beginning, my research into science and spirituality was more theoretical. I tried to understand this point where matter and consciousness interact, where body and soul interact. And I wanted to understand in theory, how does it work? And again, I had to meet people to help me. There were especially two meetings very important. One meeting was with Burkhard Hein. Burkhard Hein was a physicist who studied directly quantum physics from Werner Heisenberg. But his ideas were much broader. So he could prove that four-dimensional space-time is not sufficient. Four-dimensional space-time is not sufficient to describe the theory of gravity. Just for gravity, it needs two additional dimensions. So he came up with an idea, not an idea, it was a mathematical necessity of a fifth and a sixth dimensions. So these two dimensions are, if you look at space-time, there is three dimensions is our space, and then there's a dimension of time, which Einstein integrated. Actually, it was not Einstein, it was his teacher Minkowski who integrated, but Einstein took up the idea, and then he developed on this basis the general theory of relativity, which deals with a four-dimensional space-time, but it's still the time which is above the space. And the question is, what is beyond time? Below time, we know there is three-dimensional space, but is there something beyond time? And Burkhard Heims could prove mathematically that Einstein's way to theory of gravity was not complete, but he was working with an approximation. And if you don't allow this approximation, you get two more dimensions, which is the fifth and the sixth dimensions, because you get from 16 equations to 36 equations. So now he had these two dimensions and had no idea what was these two dimensions. It took him years to discover the mathematical patterns of these two dimensions. So these two dimensions beyond time, this is what, through the time, is controlling the movement in three-dimensional space. So that's really fascinating concept, that there is a space beyond time which actually contains the information which controls the physics down here. And this is exactly the notion of the information field. It's two dimensions beyond time. So to contact the information field, you have to go through time. And this is only possible through vibrations in time, which actually in the quantum theory, vibrations are particles also. So they are quantums of vibration. And the question is, what is vibrating there? Some people may answer, oh, it's the energy which is vibrating. No, according to quantum physics, energy is the result of this vibration. It's not energy vibrating to create reality, but it's something vibrating to create energy. So it's something more fundamental than energy. And this is information. And information is only information for someone. Information is not information by itself, but it becomes information by carrying a meaning. So it's like, it's related to a subject. So like this, you come to the conclusion, it's kind of consciousness vibrating to create the quantums of energy. So this concept that we have to communicate beyond time is the idea behind the time waver, because time waver, the word I got from this idea that we need waves, we need the vibrations to communicate beyond time with the information field.
Yeah, well, that's a great, thank you for that. That's a wonderful explanation of the additional dimensions of which we now have gone beyond that up to the 11th or 12th dimension.
Yes.
Of the information field. And of course,
Yes,
we recognize the multidimensional nature of existence within us and within everything being different layers of consciousness. So the time waver and the HEALY have created a way of interfacing that in a practical way for people that don't really understand the spiritual quantum mechanics or physics, because the level of consciousness is relatively still low on the planet. People need to have a tool that allows them to create this connection. The spiritual path through meditation and deep clearing work clears the way for our own heart and our mind to generate the frequencies. So we are an incredible frequency device in our own right.
Absolutely.
But that takes a bit of practice and time and effort to do all the clearing work, to clear the traumas, the fears, the emotions, and all the negative energies that are causing blockages in our ability to create the right frequency. So it's wonderful to see that through your ability to create the quantum sensor, that you've been able to access these dimensional data vibrations, and then link that up to the individual person, so that we get this interface of the multidimensional data that we can read, and in the information field, clear their negative emotions, clear some of the traumas and fears that they've accomplished, that they've accumulated within this life, let alone other lives. But even if it's within this life, we can get a dramatic improvement in many different health-related issues by clearing negative emotions, clearing specific fears of unworthiness, fears of pain, fears of not being safe. Some of the fears that we're battling with at this time on the planet with the COVID thing has greatly affected the consciousness level of the mass consciousness. And so we need more and more tools, such as the time wave of HEALY, to integrate this, to help people to enhance their vibration, to maintain them in a higher state of consciousness. So that's sort of where we see how your wonderful devices are now being used to facilitate this not only enhancing health, but through enhancing conscious development. So we really appreciate the fact that you've created those. And maybe you could talk a little bit about the quantum sensor, Marcus, because that's a very unique aspect to the technology.
Yes, you have mentioned already that not only the HEALY is a frequency generator, but our body connected with our mind and with our soul, they are a frequency generator. Not only one frequency generator, but it's a composition of frequency generators. Like if you just look at the heartbeat, you collect enough heartbeats, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you analyze the distance between two heartbeats. You analyze the frequencies you find within this, and you get a whole spectrum of frequencies. And we now know how to interpret these different bands within the spectrum of frequencies in the heartbeat. And we can see by making such a spectral analysis that the heart is under the influence of all the other systems within our body, especially our brain, but also the thyroid gland, but then also the solar plexus. But then there are two lower centers which influence either as nervous centers of nerves, or of glands. They are through the hormones which they are emitting, they influence the speed of our heart. So just analyzing the vibration of the heart, you almost get access to all these different systems in the body. And the heart is in the center. And if you look at the ancient Indian system of describing the bioenergetic body, you see that they use the main concept they have is the chakras, where the heart is the central chakra of 7 chakras, which are there. 3 are above and 3 are below the heart. So in the heart, they all combine. Our material aspect with our mental and spiritual aspect, they all come together and create the strongest vibration of our system, which is the pulse of the heartbeat. So with the HEALY watch, you can measure this. And we are just improving because we have developed in the last years formulas to get all these parameters from the heartbeat, but it's calculated with an algorithm in the cloud, so it will come back to the to the HEALY watch app. But then we can understand how the frequencies which we are supplying to the HEALY, how the frequency generator of our heart and of the other parts of our body, how they react on this and vice versa. Because the quantum sensor, and this was your question, is nothing else than putting these two frequency generators into resonance. The one frequency generator is the body, and the other frequency generator is the HEALY. So through the quantum sensor, these two vibrations, they couple. They get correlated. And they're creating one coherent vibration. And the way to coherence is led through the information field, because the HEALY is connecting also through the quantum sensor with the information field. So what is a quantum sensor? A quantum sensor is an open physical quantum process which is not determined. Normally a physical process, classical physical process, they are determined by the material circumstances. But in a quantum event, there's the freedom of the quantum event. A quantum event is not determined, but it's open. So whenever a quantum event is creating information, you can either consider it to be pure chance, but you can consider it also to be a bit of information which has a meaning. So the physicists decided mainly there are two ways, two groups within the physicists. One of them says, no, there is no meaningful information within the quantum event. And the other said, oh yeah, there's information, but we cannot know it. We don't understand the language. This is like Einstein had this idea. David Bohm had this idea. De Broglie, Schrödinger, they had this idea. Whereas there was another group like Heisenberg and Bohr, they had the idea, no, it's just chance. But one very famous sentence which Albert Einstein spoke, looking at quantum physics, he said, God doesn't play dice. God doesn't play dice.
Yeah.
And in another occasion, he said, oh, God is humorous, but he is not evil. So he plays tricks with us, but his intention is not evil, and he doesn't play dice. So it refers to the quantum event, Einstein's very clear opinion, and it was not only his opinion. There were Schrödinger behind him and de Broglie, two very big minds in the development of quantum physics. They said, no, it only appears to be chance, but there is information behind which is in a very universal language, but we don't understand it. And this is the model also we are using. So we are creating pure quantum event, downloading bits of information from the information field, but we don't understand it. So we need to we are using two ways actually three different ways, but now it becomes complicated to use this information without understanding the language. One way is we transform the information from the quantum event directly into a frequency. So then we have the frequency, and the frequency works on our system. Actually, it works where mind and matter meet. It works on this very, very subtle bioelectric, bioenergetic fields within our body, which, according to my ideas, they connect the gross to the subtle. They the manifest to the unmanifest. They connect the material body with the conscious mind. So on this level, this frequencies work. This is one way how we use the information which comes through the quantum sensor, which is nothing else than a quantum event. So a quantum event is some event which creates quantum information. That's all. It's very simple. But of course, then you need to know how to transform this information into frequencies, or we use it also to evaluate resonances, like in HEALY resonance. This is a module which is a very, very, very limited version of the time weaver, because for time weaver you need a little more training how to work with the information field. But HEALY resonance helps you to understand which resonances are the strongest, like resonance with different frequency programs, or resonances with homeopathic remedies, or Bach flowers, something like this, or emotions, as you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, thank you for giving us that sort of overview of how the quantum information interacts with the sensor and then is transmitted into a frequency, which then can be matched up with resonance.
It cannot be underestimated, the role of the quantum event. It's a creative process. A quantum event is a creative process. Everything around is deterministic. Deterministic means nothing new. Deterministic means it has always been and it will never change. But this is one way to look at the world, you know, like Platon's way on the looking at the eternal truths. But the modern concept is it's a process of evolution. It's a process of evolution, of becoming more consciousness, becoming more conscious. And even God doesn't know everything. You know, time is, and we have for example, in the Rig Veda, which is one of the oldest scriptures in India, which I have studied when I was a monk. It's going back tens of thousands of years. And there's a lot, it's one of the most fundamental prayers in the Rig Veda is addressing the creator of the universe. And in the end, it says, and all these questions only the creator of the universe knows, or maybe even he doesn't know. So this maybe even he doesn't know is, for me, it's a much better understanding than, okay, God already knows everything. He has planned everything in this way. I believe that the center of spirituality is creativity. It's a moment when something unexpected, something new comes from a very deep level to manifest. And this is happening through the quantum event. So quantum events, something connecting this world to the unmanifest world.
Yes, thank you for that. So we have the two different HEALY sort of applications. One is the microcurrent based one, and then one is the resonance, which uses the information field. So they're the two different apps that work. My background is in frequency specific microcurrent. As you mentioned, I've done a lot of work with Carolyn McMakin. So we understand that frequencies are very specific, as is consciousness. So this is the whole thing. We can generate, as you said before, our own heart-based frequencies, which are very specific and capable of changing and transmuting. The power of the love frequency that we can bring through in our meditations can transform many other negative energies associated with anger and frustration and guilt and shame. Many of these, sadness and disappointment, all these negative emotions which we accumulate like rubbish in our energetic field is blocking the flow of energy in our body and the divine essence of the divine energies from our multidimensional source. So having seen how these HEALY devices are working, whoa!
The microphone is quite okay.
That's a quantum event.
Yeah, it looks like some instability because only unstable systems can collapse and create a quantum event. So my microphone is definitely such an unstable thing.
It sounds a little bit like the world we're currently facing, with the way that the structures of life are starting to collapse.
Yeah.
As a result of this, virus situation. What would you like to make any comment on how we can best use the HEALY devices in this time, as far as using it to help people when they're in this state of fear and they're still, obviously the world is changing and things have to change for the better. And I'm always thankful that the divine powers that exist can always make good things of bad things. So it always works out for the greatest good of all. But maybe is there any guidance that you'd like to provide people on the call here in relation to what's happening now?
Yes, of course, the situation is not so much different than the situation before regarding using HEALY. It's the same. Actually, we don't need necessarily additional programs. It's all about strengthening the bioenergetic field, balancing the bioenergetic field. It's very much, it's all about balancing. And you were talking about emotions. Major emotion in the situation is fear. And fear is one of the strongest emotions because we needed it in evolution. We needed attraction and we needed fear. So they are inbuilt in our system, but they have also an expression in the body, like each emotion, as you know, has an expression in the body. So in the traditional Chinese understanding of medicine, if someone has fear, you treat the kidney. So I don't want to talk too much about this implications of this, but kidney is one of the organs which are affected also by the special virus. And the lungs and the kidneys are very closely connected because they are both organs which free the body from acids, the strong acids through the kidney and the weaker acids through the lungs. And what is acids? Acids means there is a lack of electrons. Acidity means there is a very low pH value. This is what is acidity, and pH measures the concentration of the free electrons in the systems, which is again very much connected to the cell electricity. Kidney is an organ which is very closely connected to the electrolytic balance within our body. So all this bioelectric things which are connected to the bioenergetic level these are the basic ideas behind the HEALY programs, especially the gold cycle, balance and being, my favorite programs. Pure is connected to bioenergetic aspects of the kidney also, but not only. I mean, I know the frequencies in the programs. Each of these programs consists of about 400 frequencies. But if you use a program like Balance, from these 400 frequencies in one session only, I don't know, 3, 6 frequencies are used, those which get the highest resonance in the information field. And they are used until the percentage goes to 100. You see, not in all parts of using the HEALY, but in the center is these frequencies. And a session with HEALY normally starts with the low frequencies and ends with the high frequencies. So these programs of the gold cycle are always, for me, the basis of the work with the HEALY, and nothing changed. Maybe we are more conscious about using the HEALY in these times. We are more conscious about and more connecting. We might have a feeling, okay, that's maybe a time I needed more. So follow this intuition. For me, you know, I'm so close to the HEALY that normally I forget to use it. This can happen, you know, so it reminds us how important frequencies are.
Yes, and I suppose it's a tool that, you know, the general masses can get their head around and use without having to know what every frequency does and how it's selected and why this particular program's needed. Like, as practitioners, we like to know that stuff, you know, like, what's that frequency for, you know?
Yeah,
why
but that's horrible. That's horrible. If you, for example, if you're using the HEALY, in the first 9 minutes, you get the low frequencies. And they are not a part of the 400, but they come from the whole reservoir of frequencies, which you have between 1 and 1,000 hertz. So it's 10,000 frequencies you're having in between, because we take 0.1 steps as a choice and let the information field guide the frequencies through this. So it's better not to know the meaning of all those frequencies. Because we have a time-Weber frequency system, the mother system or the father system, which shows you for each frequency all the potential meanings. But by reading this, you get sick. So it's much better not to. Therefore, we decided we will not connect frequencies with meaning, because these are only guesses also from experience. And in the individual case, they are anyway wrong, because the body is not linear. One frequency has one specific meaning. No, one frequency has a spectrum of meanings. And there is not one frequency for the kidney and one for the liver. No, it's a whole spectrum of frequencies. Therefore, HEALY, this is the strength of HEALY, to choose the resonances among a big crowd of spectrum of frequencies. Yeah. So therefore, I don't like, you know, you can go to the internet and download a list of frequencies. The only thing you can do about it in the individual case, it's always wrong. You know, and it's always a surprise. The body is a non-linear system to such a degree that the language is still a mystery. Of course, we find regularities. Like if you look at Dr. McMakin's regularities, which she found.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely amazing, using two frequencies simultaneously. But even in science, in university science and published papers, if you look at the recent frequency research, you find also particular frequencies which are under strong investigation by many different groups and laboratories. I'll give you one example. They focusing on 50 hertz. And they tried all the frequencies around 50 hertz, like from 15 to 80. They went through and they they measured the resonances, the effect on stem cells, migration of stem cells, differentiation of stem cells, regeneration on stem cells. And for some reasons they don't understand, they find 50 hertz to be extremely efficient, much more efficient than 48 or 52. So focusing research on 50 hertz. I have done a collection of all the frequencies which are or have been researched in the university laboratories. And I spoke to some of the professors who did this research. And so, but even those frequencies are not very specific because, okay, they seem to work in a positive way on stem cells, you know, but what does it do with the whole body? Yeah, so it's an amazing field of research and it's just in the beginning, but for some reason, not at the university level, there are not many there's not much funding for this kind of programs. The research is done on a different level.
Yeah, well, yeah, we funded some research ourselves when I was director of metagenics, where we looked at rats, and in an inflammatory model, we looked at specific frequencies to reduce inflammation in the skin after applying an inflammatory mediator to the surface of the rat's ear. And there was a very specific set of frequencies that had reduced inflammation by 75 to 80% within 4 minutes. So that with 4 minutes of application, within 1 hour, there was about an 80% reduction in inflammation. But any other frequency set did nothing. And this was a frequency for the skin and a frequency for inflammation. So that was part of the frequencies that Carolyn had that we used, and we did it on rats. So like obviously rats are a little bit more of a whole organism than culture plates with stem cells in them.
Yes.
So doing research in living organisms is a little bit more hopeful. But you've got to start off doing the cell culture work and then take it into animals and see.
Therefore, in the HEALY, we are combining both approaches. One approach is to use the specific frequencies from the research. Therefore, our cooperation with Carolyn is very dear to us, and we are really amazed about the opportunity to integrate this into HEALY, which is a big work, has almost been completed, basically has been completed. And also the integrating the frequencies which come from the university research. And the third thing is, of course, use the frequencies from Nononina. They are specific, but it's a lot. It's 144,000. But if you look at the possible combinations of Carolyn's frequencies, it's also around 80,000 or more. Yeah. And of course, then we are also applying frequencies which directly come from the information field. So we combine this different, like for our certification, we use fixed frequencies normally.
Yeah.
Because this is what they want to know. They want to know which frequency have you used, how long, which voltage, which amperage, and it's much easier to base clinical trials on fixed frequencies.
Yeah, it amazes me how a lot of the clinical trials done on electrotherapy and different microcurrent TENS applications all use the same 0.5 hertz or 15 hertz, and they apply the same frequency for every different condition. And, you know, the results are positive.
But I believe that those applications are not frequency specific, but they work mainly on having electrical pulses. So it could be 0.5, it could be 0.6, 0.4. There you have to always distinguish there's an effect of the current.
Yeah.
a pulse current by itself, where the frequency of the pulse is not really so important. And if you look at the research done on the 0.5 frequencies, which we also use in HEALY, then you see that there's a randomization around 0.5 hertz. So they use 0.5 only as a mean frequency, and they wobble around.
Right.
It's more effective. It's more effective.
Yeah.
For some reasons.
Yes.
One day we will understand this language of the body. But for now, it's amazing that we can use it by understanding just a little bit, and we can use it for the benefit of the people.
Well, yeah, and I see the benefit of the quantum sensor's ability to gauge how the frequency will change very quickly. Once it's changed, once you apply a frequency, then you don't know how long you should apply it for, but
Right.
The sensor basically recognizes the resonance and then shifts immediately to the next frequency, which is resonating. And so it becomes a more appropriate time sequence as opposed to our own, you know, oh, well, I'll use this frequency for 5 minutes and then I'll change, sort of thing. So it's by far the most advanced system that I've seen on the market, and from the results that I've seen with people and from the use of their own case studies, the results are quite remarkable. So we're very proud to be supporting it in Australia, and we look forward to, you know, learning more about how we can apply it more effectively. Like, so to me, like the information field that we use with the Resonance app has a huge application for mental and emotional dysfunction. And it's tapping in more into those aspects of the energetic data information fields, whereas the microcurrent is working more on the etheric physical levels and is useful for physical symptoms like pain and, you know, muscular related and joint function and those sorts of things, whereas the Resonance app deals with the upstream emotional mental dysfunction, and which relates to mental illness, depression, anxiety, other types of you know, emotional and disorders. So I see that because we've got access to the two different apps, we've got the best of both worlds there, and I'm looking forward to doing more personal research in it, and I'm sure that we're going to get a lot of other people wanting to try it themselves over here as well. So I suppose, Marcus, I'm aware of your time. Where would you like to lead us with your vision of the future as a perhaps a way of segueing to the end of the call?
Right now, we are very busy with the present. Absolutely busy, because we have, within a very short time with HEALY, we have gone to so many countries, like almost 50 countries within a year, which each country is a world for itself, with a language, with different taxation and legal requirements and certification. Like Australia needs its own, HEALY needs its own medical certification for Australia. We now have found the way to do it, and it will be done probably in a short period of time. We have done it in the United States. FDA is complete different regulatory process. So for us, it's a time to boil the vision down to something very concrete here and now, and focus on strengthening the situation we are having in so many different countries and languages. We want to very strongly focus on education. That's extremely important, so that people can use their HEALY. They get the maximum out of their HEALY and develop more understanding. Especially if you want to work with the information field, you need some deeper insights into how consciousness, information field, body relationships work. So for this, we are building up the HEALY Online Academy. And of course, we have also good therapists as teachers. You might invite some of them for webinars, also for Australia. They can answer different questions than I like to answer. I know a lot, but I don't like to talk about all these things because, you know, I'm not a therapist. I'm not working with patients. So that's another story. And ultimately, the vision of HEALY is to contribute to the, from my perspective, absolutely necessary global shift of consciousness, which is first realizing what quantum physics actually discovered on a deeper level of consciousness, matter relationship, and unity of the world, and then go beyond the quantum level of consciousness, because quantum theory is not a final theory. It's a maximum we can get out by using our brain only. If we get into it, if we come closer to integrated consciousness, something completely new is coming up. And it's kind of like the shift from before quantum physics, the consciousness was two-dimensional. It was dualistic. It was Dvaita. Then quantum physics got a three-dimension into it, and it got beyond duality. Also, the logic which is applied to and mathematics in quantum physics is beyond dualistic logic. But we have to come to a four-valued logical system and a much richer ontology, and of course a much richer integrated consciousness to do a step beyond. If you look at the results of quantum physics, like the nuclear weapon, which is a directly consequence from the from quantum physics, so many problems were created from quantum physics, which cannot be solved on the same level of consciousness. So the shift to the integrated consciousness, which is closely related to the number 4, in terms of logic and ontological richness, and like integrating the 4 functions of consciousness, thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition, into one powerful being. I think this is something we want to help to achieve for the one humanity. Because if you use the HEALY for yourself, you connect to the information field. If someone else uses the HEALY, he connects to the information field. But the information field is nothing else than our collective consciousness, our collective unconscious, or the integration of our collective consciousness and unconscious. So if we use HEALY, we connect to each other. We connect to the planet, which is sharing the same information field. So I believe that having more and more people using HEALY, it will create a very strong, coherent field, which of course depends on our intention. Everything depends on intention. If I wouldn't have had a certain intention, there would be no HEALY. If the people around me wouldn't share this vision and intention, there would be no HEALY and no time weather. In the same way our intention does it. It's like a vector. You know, so if we combine our intentions, we have a very powerful access to this level of unity, which is beyond, not beyond us, it's around us. It's the very essence of what we are. So this is a way we like to go ourselves, and it's a way we like to support with developing HEALY further and spreading it all over the world.
Well, we certainly are enjoying the benefits of it at this level, and let's see the benefits of how we can raise the overall consciousness on the planet.
Exactly. That's why we have a vision, but we have to concentrate on the work right here and now. And this is what we are doing with our HEALY team, which has grown a lot all over the world. It's hundreds of people working together on the corporate side, and already 10,000 working on the network side. And we try to, become more coherent ourselves, better communication, better education training. So we have to manifest the vision in the existing reality right now, and it's a lot of hard work.
Yes, it must be trying to hold on to a tiger. So we can sort of see how there's been some obvious changes in the way that things are working in the product side and availability in the back office. So we appreciate your ongoing support and the funding of that, because it will have to be a process that can be simply and easily used and integrated for society to really get the best benefits of it. And so, it's a big job. We appreciate, obviously, everything that you're doing with the team back in the head office and around the world. So we'll, Max, would you like to add anything further before we sort of wind up the call?
Yeah, I think there's not much to add anymore. It's been an amazing call, guys. It's been incredible to just listen to you guys and seeing you connecting and having a conversation, which is really mind-blowing. I also really appreciate and enjoy this call. This call is not about business at all, but also you can feel where it's actually coming from, like, or from what space the technology is coming from what background is coming from. And I think it's so wonderful to have really a device which comes from a good space and is being created in order to change, to really have a magnificent change in this world and in so many lives. And well, guys, I just say, like, I'm already now with HEALY in the network since more than a year, meanwhile. And I have seen myself shifting and changing in such dramatic ways, from attracting a product which is on a superficial level, a unicorn product to make a lot of money. But over the time, going through my own journey and discovering my own awareness about a lot of things, what happening around me and within me, and to understand, actually, to become aware is such a deeper, more meaningful understanding than, just creating freedom and abundance for yourself, but actually being able to create so much more for humanity right now. So I'm completely blessed and appreciative about being part of this journey and driving HEALY into the world and into so many different countries and communities. Like, it's just amazing to see how we creating ripple effects all over the world right now, and creating people who are not conscious, not as conscious, like myself is the best example. I'm calling myself all the time I'm a shallow person, but if I can change to become very aware about myself and really feel now there is a divine force in all of us that we can now tapping into, or even getting closer to it, is an extremely motivating thing for me. So I love to create more of these ripple effects in more communities around the world. So I'm highly, highly appreciative for this technology, for you, Marcus, and for people like Mike and Hong and everybody on this call, because I know all of us make this difference here. And as you said it so beautifully, it's about the collectiveness. It's about of oneness. It's about of all of us. It's beautiful, guys. So I don't have anything to add about this anymore.
And that's beautiful, beautifully said. Can everyone hear me? Did I unmute myself?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, Max, on behalf of everyone here, I have to say thank you. Without your effort, we would not be having this meeting tonight. So thank you so much for getting Marcus out of his cave, or his monk cave, to be here with us. And Mark and Max, I've watched you transform in front of my very eyes. And you are an absolute amazing, gorgeous human being, and you're not shallow in any way. You're one of the most beautiful human being I've ever met. your heart's so open, your mind is so hungry beyond your perceived reality. And it's very, very hard to find young men like this. You know, you are our hope. Your kids are our hope. So I can't express my gratitude. I also, Glenn, I'm not sure whether Glenn, do you want to say something, Glenn? Glenn, a lot of practitioners are here because of Glenn's effort, Vivian's effort. More than 160 people have registered for this call. Some other people, for some reason, can't make it, which we will send them the recording. But I am beyond grateful. And HEALY has done a lot for me, for myself. One of the most incredible things of HEALY is I am able to treat my mother. I am able to treat my mother when she's not with me. She is my greatest concern. She's very hard for me to ask her to come and live with me. She's 82, living on her own. She doesn't want to come live with me because I'm just can't get along with her with her lifestyle. But now I can actually reduce her blood pressure within about 30 to 40 seconds with using my resonance, beaming the frequency across when she's hundreds of miles away from me. She had incredible, unspeakable trauma during the Cultural Revolution. She suffered from insomnia for about 50 years, and now she's sleeping like a log because I beam those sleeping frequencies to her every single night. And I suffer from insomnia because during the Cultural Revolutions for months that we just couldn't sleep. So I developed this neurological disorder, and now I'm sleeping like a baby. And so, I can't express my gratitude enough. And for me to say this, to endorse this particular technology and this particular product, I am speaking purely from my own experience and from my heart. And my heart is like an ocean of gratitude and an ocean of love. And so thank you very much. Max, after Marcus left, I wouldn't mind you telling people about this amazing promotion that you guys are doing for Australian. And my understanding is that this is the last one this year. Can you just explain that to people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, maybe we just give Marcus the opportunity to say something before he's leaving, and then I can jump in and tell you. Marcus, you want to say goodbye to these amazing people?
Yes, thank you very much, Mike and Hong. I enjoyed your questions a lot, and also your insights, your sharings with your vision on life and also on HEALY. I enjoyed the conversation very much, and I so much appreciate all of your efforts to make it a combined effort to help people and to make a little contribution to the change in the world, to the global change. So for me, really a great pleasure to be with all of you, and whenever there's an opportunity which fits, invite me again. I enjoy it very much, and I wish you all much more amazing experiences with HEALY and with meeting people who will also love to use HEALY. Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much, and I wish